Hello, everybody. This is the For Goodness Sake YouTube channel, and I'm your host, Mesfin Teklu. If you're a new listener, viewer, welcome. I'm very pleased to have you. I appreciate you guys taking the time out you did to check me out. I hope that whatever headline I put to get you to click on the video was not something that isn't covered and in your full interest in the video. So thanks for clicking on my face. All my people who have kind of been listening to my other videos and maybe even subscribed and liked videos before. First of all, thank you. I love everybody, but I just love you just a little bit more. It's just I have to. It's like the rules of YouTube, how it works. Like, I'll never force you guys to like and subscribe, and I hate when people do that, even though it's like kind of how we have to make a business in this kind of process here. But still, I will just say, if you do that stuff, I'm gonna like you just a little bit more. That being said, I'm really happy to be here. I'm kind of just over the edge, over the deadline for this month's video, but it's okay. I made my last video less than 30 days ago, so I think you guys will give me a pass for the monthly quota still being intact. I'm excited for this video. A lot to talk about with it. It's going to be difficult to stay on track because I just have so many thoughts about it and have so much passion about it. This is an area that I've grown in a lot, and then in growing in that area, it's kind of helped me grow as a person in other ways. So super excited for that. But first, I just want to take a minute and say, how was you guys' weekend? How was the Thanksgiving holiday for you guys? I know that this holiday can be very dark and can be a reminder of kind of dark things that America did in the past and coming, into being as a country. And that it also kind of reminds people of a lot of the ways that a lot of those crimes against people, fellow human beings, still have effects in the present world today with many communities and families and our brothers and sisters. So I know it's a dark holiday for some people. If that's something that it is for you, or if you have a situation where being around family and the ideals that come with being around family can be very stressful and hard to deal with and traumatic. I just want to send some love to you. For a holiday like this, which stands for so much goodness and purity to me, to be so dark in a lot of ways. So many people complaining about on Twitter, and not complaining in a negative sense, but just like voicing their emotions about how they get so stressed out about being around family, and the term toxic coming up a lot, and it's hard for me to hear that. I feel bad for you all. I extend my deepest condolences and sympathies and empathy, because everybody deserves to have this time be a reminder of those who love them, and a reminder of why they are alive, because there's people that care about them, that are grateful to have you in their lives. And even if this day doesn't represent that for you, I want you to know that there are people truly all over your life, whether they tell you or not, that really care about you, that love you for who you are and not for what you give them or what you do or what your talents are. None of that matters to them. There's so many people in your life that just interact with you, and it makes their day better. Even at the smallest scale, to like this random person you see at the grocery store a lot, and you just happen to not be a douchebag to them because you see everybody else, kind of ignoring them or whatever. I mean, like, there's seriously this beautiful web of connections between each individual person and the entire outside world that is incredible. I don't want to get too distracted about that because I have so much to say about that even, but we'll save that and that web of social networks for another video. This holiday really is about family to me. It's about friends and family, which I think are very similar things. It's about people who love you, and it's about taking time to do what you love, not have to work, thankfully, for myself and most people that I know. If you do have to work on this holiday or others, shout out to you for keeping the world going around. but it's also about not going to school, kind of just taking a day, doing what you love, watching football, which is something that I've always loved to do, and just being grateful, which is an important concept to me. It's influential in how I view the world. You know, I've gone through a lot of things in my life, some that I mentioned in the last video about my life. If you haven't seen that, check that out when you're done with this video. I think it'll give you a cool insight into who I am a little bit, as like a quick flash, you know, quick drive course. I don't know what crash course, that's the word. It'll give you a quick crash course into who I am and kind of what my journey has been in some points. And then there's other parts of it that I haven't, you know, gone into depth about. And through all of these challenges, what has always kept me grounded and positive about life, and just knowing that I can keep trying and wake up another day and try harder. And sometimes not try harder, but wake up another day and just actually not wake up another day. You know, there's of course times in all of our lives, I think most people would say that they've had very dark and self-destructive thoughts, and I'm no exception to that. I'm very vulnerable to it with my family history, and one of the main things that keeps me grounded and kept me grounded at my lowest points, and trying another day to even just live one more time, you know, take one more breath, was the fact that I have so much to be grateful for. And I was constantly trying to remind myself of that, you know, whether it's the people that are in my life, from my family members, the closest people that are have known me since I was born, whether it's my very close friends who kind of pulled me under their wings and into their circles and, you know, gave me a lot of crap and kind of pushed me around, but also kind of made me a part of the person that I am today. Or if it's teachers who have inspired me and pushed me to be who I want to be and who I've always been, and in the best versions of myself. Or coaches who gave me an example of strong, intellectual, politically aware, and diligent, persevering men in my life. Or if it was even just random people that I interact with from outside in the world, well, I'll never see them again, to people that have come before me in my school and who come after me that have always just shown me so much love, many of which are, you know, you guys sitting here listening to me. You guys and the rest of the people in my life are truly some of the most important things in my life that keep me grateful, reminding me that no matter what goes on, no matter all the darkness and the chaos and the hectic parts of life that kind of keep hitting us, I'm reminded that as much as that shit sucks, you guys are way cooler and way more beautiful and way more awesome than any of the magnitude of darkness that everything else is, and the things that happen in life. So gratitude is really important to me. So I want to give you guys a homework assignment. When you're done with this video, before you click on some other videos that you haven't watched yet, just take a minute and sit to yourself, reflect on some things in your life that you're really grateful about. Some things that you appreciate about yourself, maybe, about your traits. Some things you appreciate in terms of challenges you haven't had to deal with, maybe. Ways that you've grown from challenges you have had to deal with that you're grateful for. And then I won't say it's necessarily most importantly, but maybe just in my opinion, most importantly, who are you grateful for? You know, who in your life do you really just thank, whether it's the universe, whether it's God, whether it's Allah, whether it's, you know, nothing but your own will, whether it's, you know, something divine that you find in a leaf. Like, I don't care what it is. I don't care if it is this concept of like something greater than yourself. You can be thankful just inwardly, you know. You can just thank inwardly if you believe nothing, that, you know, there is nothing greater than, you know, yourself and your own consciousness and, you know, your own brain wiring, and this is just all a simulation that you're running through in a computer or something, whatever. You could thank the fact that inwardly you only have to deal with something, and you can just be grateful as a being without being grateful for somebody else giving you that, or something else putting you in that position. Gratitude is a magical thing. It does not require any type of belief system, so don't for one second believe that, just because my family goes around Thanksgiving, it says our family prayer and says each thing that we're grateful for, and it might have a great connection to our spiritual beliefs. That doesn't mean that you have to have spiritual beliefs to be grateful. We all can be grateful every day for another day of life. But if you're not there yet, do this homework assignment. Take this one time and find some things you're grateful for. Write them down if it helps you and helps you think about it, and make something concrete and tangible of those thoughts. I digress. That's my little Thanksgiving spiel. I'm happy to be here after a great holiday. I just wanted to jump right into this video now. So I have a bonus quote of the day as well as the regular quote of the day. It was only because I had trouble finding the correct quote that I had to finally just go with two of them. Once I found the right quote that I like, I all of a sudden had another one that just was like, I think they're perfectly, working in tandem with each other and helping kind of push the concepts that I'm trying to accomplish in explaining in this video. So, quote of the day 1. Pride is pride not because it hates being wrong, but because it loves being wrong. To hate being wrong is to change your opinion and when you are proven wrong. Whereas pride, even when proven wrong, it decides to go on being wrong. I'm going to take a minute to explain that. I love that so much because the concept of my video today about freedom and being wrong is all about growth. It's about letting go of where you have failed, right? Because we have a concept of failure and success when we're right and wrong. And this exactly highlights the fact that when we are afraid of being wrong and we dig in when we're proven wrong, or when we think we, are maybe not as sure about something as we could be, rather than just being like, oh, well, even if it's not about right and wrong, and even if I can just say, well, that's something I didn't think about, maybe I'll do more research into that, we rather just dig in and we're just, oh no, that can't be true. We affirm ourselves, and even though there's no growth in that. So I love it because it's the most tangible way we fear something when it comes to being wrong is like, I can't let go. I can't let go because then I'll be wrong. But it's like, actually, it's so funny because you're creating that fear. You are wrong when you don't admit that you're wrong. Once you admit that you're wrong, you're right. And it's this magical thing where you let go, and then all of a sudden you've destroyed the fear. The next quote is very similar. I think it works really great with this quote. So, to make mistakes or be wrong is human. To admit those mistakes shows you have the ability to learn and you are growing wiser. I think we all have this idea of what intellectual and intelligence is. They think it's something that's talent a lot of times. As a people, we just think, oh yeah, well, that person's born smart, that person's not. It's something with their genes, maybe how they were raised, whatever. Like, there's all these things. But that's so not true. We all are geniuses, truly. And I'm not just saying that as some guy that's trying to fluff up, a YouTube channel, get people to like him, with all this positive words. Like, I truly believe we all have incredible talents that makes us a genius, at least in that field. And then, as the opposite side of that, we all have the most incredible talent, which is to learn, that makes us a genius anywhere. Because if we know nothing, we have an entire ocean of knowledge to learn. If we know one thing about, one thing, one topic, we might know that and we might know it back to forward, but there's still a giant ocean. It's like I've heard a saying about how knowledge is like an island floating in an ocean. And whenever you're saying I know, you're just sitting on the island. And it's cool because you have an island, and maybe you have the biggest island that anybody else has ever had in the world. Your knowledge is just so deep and vast that it's bigger than anybody else's. But guess what? The biggest island in the world, the biggest land masses in the world, continents, all of the land together in the world, combined, still doesn't compare to the ocean that's, on this planet. All the oceans combined vastly outweigh all the land combined. And that's a great metaphor for knowledge and how putting yourself in the category of, I don't know. There's many things I don't know. You learn something, you learn it as a fact, and you're like, oh, cool, I know that fact maybe, but I don't know, whatever, we can learn so much more about it. Something could come along and make that fact irrelevant or whatever. So this quote works with the other one to show that the first quote about pride, how pride hates actually, not hates being wrong, but loves being wrong. Pride hates being right in a way, because that's where it manifests itself in our personality. When it is wrong, it can rear its ugly head and then just like ingrain itself and make you stagnant, put you in this set position of, well, I have to be right. And then it's like, if you're wrong, then it's failure. This quote works with that quote to show how it's not a failure to be wrong. Actually, it's this beautiful opportunity that gets rid of this set position of right and wrong. It just shows that growth is possible when you're wrong. And the statement of I don't know itself is this incredible releasing of pressure. You don't have to have the answers all the time. You can not know, because then you have an opportunity to learn. You don't have to be an expert on every single thing. That's not what makes somebody smart. What makes somebody smart is, are they willing to start where they're at about any topic or any discipline and learn about that at their own pace? A lot of progressive schools now are working on getting people a very widespread, balanced curriculum on all types of topics, arts and creativity topics, as well as athletics, and then the normal STEM and reading and composition classes. And when they do that, and then they also don't just say, hey, you get to go to class in this grade because you're this age and you have to keep up with all these people that are your age, and they just get rid of that. It's an old system that don't make sense. And they say, hey, in this class, you're really good. You love math. You can be in this class that's going at this speed. And there's some people that are older than you at this speed, and in this area of math, and there's some people that are younger than you. And then there's you, and it doesn't really matter. And then over there in maybe art class, I wasn't very good at art when I was younger. A lot of great ideas, though, I'll tell you that. Looking back, lots of great ideas. Execution was really the issue. Terrible fine motor skills. I'm growing, though. I'm working on it, practicing. When you go to art class, or maybe it's dance class, or theater, or gym, or reading, or whatever other class, that you're not as great at this moment, you go to a class where maybe you're the oldest in the class, but you start where you're at, and then you learn at your pace, and eventually you get to wherever you get in life. And you always, the beautiful thing about this is you always have a propensity to grow. There's always an opportunity to grow. It doesn't matter where you are. If you're the smartest person in the world, you can still get smarter. You can always get smarter. And if you're the lowest intelligent person in the world, lowest IQ ever, you can get smarter. I want to take a moment to shout out my grandfather, who recently passed away, actually, very dearly loved and missed. But I will use his example of somebody who would call my mother when she was a very young girl, when he was at worked for 38 years as a janitor and supported his family. So one of the hardest working men I know. He would call his daughter, my mother, and he'd say, hey, Jeanette, how do you spell this word? How do you spell that word? And he'd just do that. He'd ask her how to spell these words for him. Wasn't great at reading. He had some learning disabilities, and so he struggled. This man kept every single one of his words that he spelled out. He would write them down in a 3-ring binder, and he kept every single one of those that she told him. Just sheets and sheets and sheets and binders of words that he just learned from her and spelled out. And he would just spell them over and over, and he'd spell them over and over. And he kept those for years and years and years that she didn't even know about. And by the time I was born, and he's in his 60s and then 70s, this dude would be asking for books for Christmas. A man who struggled to read and write, was barely literate, would ask for books for Christmas and crossword puzzles. And he would just do them in his free time all the time. I mean, this dude consumed more books in the past 5 years than I did, easily. Like, seriously. And this is a guy that went from being illiterate practically, like maybe just basic words he could understand and read and recognize, to consuming books. I mean, that's incredible. He loved Dean Koontz and John Grisham and just all these other people that he just enjoyed. He loved like Western books and films too. So it's like, this guy shows what is possible when you just start where you're at. Release the pride and say, I'm not wrong. I can read a book. And then you're staring at all these words that look like a freaking crossword puzzle itself. When you start where you're at and you say, yeah, I'm wrong, or getting away from the example of book reading, because that's more trying to just show the way we can grow. When you start where you're at and admit where you're wrong or how you don't know, you release the need to justify yourself. You release the need to defend yourself. Instead of having to defend yourself, because if your defense of yourself and justification of yourself is wrong, then I'm going to be wrong, and that's terrible. Instead of having that way of looking at, your ideas and your motives for doing things, you can say, well, my actions hurt you. My words hurt you. What I said was incorrect. Whatever the context of being wrong is. But even if I'm wrong about some fact, or even if I'm wrong about how I went about things and how it affected you, I can admit that. And I just want you to know, I didn't want that to happen. I didn't want you to feel bad. I didn't want anything to influence you in a negative way. I didn't want to say the wrong thing. This is my experience that led me to get there. This is what I was thinking about when I was saying the things I was saying. And that's what caused me to think this way. It's because I have these thoughts and these intentions. And so you, just like when you release the pride and admit you're wrong, you actually stop being wrong. When you release the need for defending yourself and the need to justify yourself, you actually open up a possibility to explain and justify your reasoning. And then you also open up the opportunity to grow and learn somebody else's feelings, thoughts, experiences, justifications, perspectives. You not only release a part of you that's not getting out, which you get defensive because you want people to see this part of you that is not trying to do wrong, not trying to be ignorant, but just has this experience, and you just want to share your experience, your light to the world. When you are accepting of being wrong, and that it's not even about right or wrong, and you just say, this is my experience. It's not about being right. I don't care about being right. This is my experience, my justification. You get that part out. But the beautiful thing is you also get their light back into you as well. So you not only stop clogging your own light from shining outward, your own experiences, your own light from being, or your own life from being pushed out into the world and showing it who you are. But it's beautiful because you also get to see how beautiful everybody else is. And then you no longer think of them as right or wrong about an issue. You think of them as, well, these experiences led them to be this, and my experiences led me to believe that. So I see you're not trying to be a dick either, and I'm not trying to be a dick. Sometimes we get dicky to each other. How can we grow from here? Where can we come to a common ground? because I see your experience is similar to mine, but just a little bit different. And this is why. And then you get constructive with your discussion. You actually learn with each other. You actually grow on your opinions. And it's no longer about, I need them to agree with me, or I'll agree with them and I'll be wrong. And I don't like that. Because even when they admit that you're right, like even if somebody's just like, okay, yeah, you're right, you still don't grow. It's still a fixed position. There's still nothing happening. I hated when I would argue with people. And a lot of people be like, oh, you don't know how to admit when you're wrong, which I disagree with. But I have gotten extremely more diligent about being like, yes, I was wrong about this. And I admit that, and this is what I was thinking. But the other thing I've also gotten much better at is not even caring about right or wrong. It's just being like, well, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Do you think this? Because this is what I think. What do you think about this? Okay, you don't think about that. Well, do you also think that maybe I could, explain this part of it, that maybe that influences it to you at all? Does that make a difference? And so I've let go a lot more about the entire concept of right and wrong, which is another step that, it's not about steps, you know what I mean? But it's just like, it's another thing that's helpful in not trying to defend yourself. And it's another way that I've grown in that area, but also as a human being, to be an incredibly much better listener. Like, I no longer have all these arguments popping up and bing, 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 in my head, like, oh, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. This is it, and all these different thoughts just firing when somebody's talking. It's like, despite what it seems, I can sit back, I can listen, I can truly take in what they're saying, and then instead of just like cutting each individual sentence they say into parts and being like, wrong, 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 that's true, but wrong, 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 I can take the whole of what they're saying and I can ask more questions. And I can be like, oh, well, what do you think about this? Did this have an influence on you thinking that way? And it's allowed me to have such much better communication skills with people. And I'm somebody that I believe I have great communication skills and interpersonal skills. I've grown so much as a listener, as a conversationalist, and just in my individual social interactions, where I no longer have to be on the defense and be ignoring people because I think their ideologies are wrong. I can actually just appreciate them as whole humans that have certain ideas and have experiences that lead them to that way. Super, super helpful. This is the whole point of this video, to just show you guys the freedom that comes and the growth that's available in letting go of that concept of right and wrong, letting go of being right, and opening yourself up to the growth and the learning and the knowledge and the experience changing that comes in being wrong and saying, I don't know. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Share this. Let everybody know that if you think they need it, or if you say, hey, maybe I needed to learn this in our last conversation. That might be a better way of explaining it to them. Like, not like, hey, you need to learn how to admit that you're wrong. You'd be like, hey, I remember we talked, and I think we both could have like learned about this video before we have another discussion like that. It's a great trick to help yourself open yourself up to all types of experiences, and still stay concreted in some of the things that you believe, because you don't have to justify yourself. You know that you are no longer trying to hurt anybody or make anybody feel bad. You're just sharing your output, and so you remind yourself of why you think the way you do. And in the process, it justifies itself for you, because you're just sharing your own life and your own experiences and your own perspective. And then you also say, well, maybe my perspective is a little bit wrong here, or maybe it's not about right and wrong at all. And maybe I just am glad that I got to have a great conversation with somebody and we got to learn about each other. Thanks for watching, you guys. I'm excited for another video. I'll get you back in December, even though it technically is December. So see you in less than 30 days. Bye-bye.